Sound check. Well, I hope everyone had a full lunch because this is going to be some action on stage here. I hope everyone's ready for that. Now, how often do you see a panel like this, which is headlined by women, for women, and actually aimed at women? I've been a part of panels which I'd like to say, for the lack of a better word, were manels. This is a woman-only panel. My team, who has put together this event, especially headlining this event, were two women, Falguni and Surbhi. You were in touch with all of them. The emceeing done here today was done by another woman, Ria, from my team. And as a founder who runs a bootstrapped company by choice of 30 people, 15 of my team members are women. So we are hitting the right spot when it comes to gender diversity. Which is why my team and I, when we were designing this event, specifically decided that we're going to do a panel which is going to be of women, by women, for women. And I'm so glad that each and every one of you here on this panel has made time for this. And I'm going to be asking you some questions wherein you tell me, with respect to your line of business, how are you empowering other women to reach goals that you, in your manner of speaking, have achieved so far? When you talk about the Indian startup ecosystem, the numbers are not very impressive when it comes to women headlining or being in the founding or co-founding position. The numbers are not very impressive when you look at funded startups that also have women as one of the leads, or funded startups with only women as leaders. The numbers are not impressive there as well. In fact, out of 1,67,000 startups that are registered, only 18% are tech startup which are headlined by women. So not a really interesting number. I know you hear a lot of people talking about it on Shark Tank, that we are empowering women, we are doing a lot for women founders, but no, that's not really the case. A lot needs to be done. And I am personally of the belief that when there is a woman in the founding team, the entire company has that kind of DNA where diversity becomes the key focus area, which is what I've done at my company, ObserveNow, and which is what I'm going to ask all the founders here, what they've done at their respective companies. So very quickly, when I'll start this conversation, I'd request each and every one of you to give the one-liner brief of what your organization is into for the respect of the audience, and then, of course, what your plans are. So we'll start with you, Amrita. Financial literacy, right? I think it's one of the most important aspects of any woman leading a happy, healthy life, and it's one of the key pillars of independence for women. So with INDmoney, how are you empowering women a little more on the financial literacy aspect of things and looking at life in a more, I am going to pay for my own Birkin kind of way?
Sure. So at INDmoney, so we are a super app for investing. So what we're trying to do is we have something called IND which is, and managing personal finances is not just a challenge that women face. I think a lot of people in general are not very, the understanding there or the gap there in learning requires some fulfilling, right? So that is why we have very simple modules, gamified modules on IND where you can learn about basic personal finance modules, investing in equities, etc. We also have, apart from that, very simplified tools like goal planning, etc. that you can do on INDmoney to say, okay, if I were to retire at this age, or if I were to send my child to this education, what is the kind of gap and what is the kind of investment I need to make? So those are the kind of things we are solving at the app level. In terms of other things that we do specifically for women, we keep encouraging a lot of webinars. Like I just did one with BCG for the women leadership. We did something with Wiki, which is the Women Chamber of Commerce, to basically educate. And I'm more than happy to take up any more projects on webinars, etc., to tell people how to manage personal finances or how to really go about investing money. So those are the few initiatives we take at INDmoney.
Amrita, is it very specific to women when you talk about financial literacy? Do you see that there is a huge gap and that is something that you're trying to fill?
So Taniya, like I said, I think the gap is definitely more in women, but the gap in general is also there. Like today, even there are men also who wants to know, okay, how do I start investing in equities, or what do I do, what stocks to buy, how do I go about investing in mutual funds, or how do I design my cash flow, how do I do goal planning. But yes, women needs a little extra push, I would say,
Yes,
because, you
yes.
know, for them to believe that this is something in most households, even today, you know, you see men managing
The
most of the
finances.
finances, but that is changing. So as you look at the evolved families today, women also play a part
Yeah,
in
I
where
mean, your
the,
finance minister, she's
yes.
a woman. You know, the finances of
Yeah.
our country is in her
Yeah, so
hands.
if the policy is made by a woman, then they better.
Exactly, exactly. You've touched the point that I was
Yeah.
trying to make in the very beginning. When there's a woman in a leadership position, I know it's a little uncomfortable to talk about it, and also it looks like there's a very specific focus we're trying to lay on it. But unfortunately, the women that you see on stage right now, we are of a generation where we will have to talk about it. The younger ones that come after us, they'll have, they'll reap the fruits of what our hard work has
Yeah,
been.
but being a woman, I can say like most households, what happens is, okay, the man is managing it, let him manage it. I'll see जब कोई मुश्किल आएगी, मुझे करना पड़ेगा, then I'll see. But you know, I think that is something even the men should today push women to say, okay, get involved, at least know how things are supposed to be done or what it is. I think that is something that still is evolving, but it is evolving fast.
All right. That's, of course, reassuring to hear when you say that it's evolving fast, considering you are deep into this industry. Thank you so much, Amrita. Jharna, I'll move on next to you, woman in the EV space. What does the diversity look like? How do you empower women within your space to take up more leadership positions and to be more independent?
All right. First of all, I would like to thank Taniya, as in for having this conversation on this stage, because this is a very significant thing which haven't been, brought into spotlight that much. So talking about myself, I am Jharna, co-founder of Enlog. We are a technology company into electricity management. We are trying to bring a behavioral shift in enhancing the way how electricity is being used. So since, as Amrita was saying about the finance, electricity is again something which people would leave saying that it's too technical, why to get into all of those details. But these kind of resources, so far the angle of sustainability has been, the talk of the fancy things. Like people were used to talk about sustainability as a luxury or good to have thing. But as since the resources are being, we are able to see the scarcity of these resources, then it becomes very important to use the resources efficiently. So starting from, when we reach out to different businesses, like our clients are hotels and industry in co-living spaces and offices. So there are some business owners which are women and who are adopting technology very openly.
Okay.
As in comparison to men, where we have to, answer a lot of their questions, and we have to push them that why adopting technology for managing things is important. We have seen women very open to adopt the technology, and we have been fortunate enough to partner with such businesses, like if you have heard of Your Space and other co-living brands which are headed by women leaders. So if they are open to adopt technology, grow their brands faster, then I believe any business should look at technology in a better light.
Absolutely. And if we were to understand this demographic a little more, do you see the adoption of technology as a challenge or problem for women, maybe who are running more of MSME businesses, or women who are in tier 2, tier 3 cities? Is that a problem?
No, I think in contrast to, because, we have been there in the market, we have interacted with a lot of people, and we have seen that adoption of technology in women is much faster, as in they would want to ease their work with the technology, because they are, anyway they are running a business which is a breakthrough thing for them.
Right.
Like they wouldn't see their like lot of female counterparts doing a similar thing.
Yes,
So
yes.
a woman
That
choosing,
itself is an act of rebel.
yeah. So choosing to do a business is a act of courage and act of initiative that they are taking, and even about adopting technology is also one of them. They would want to make their work easier.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jharna. I'll come back to you. Tripti, I'll come on to you next. Please help us understand with CloudTrains, how do you leverage technology for better understanding of women, and how do you empower them with technology?
So, well, first of all, thank you to inviting me here. My mic is working?
Yes, it is. Just
Okay.
hold it a little closer.
Well, at CloudTrains, we run a different kind of the training programs specifically for the women. We set up a very small R&D department inside the CloudTrains. As a CloudTrains, when I started this company, I left the multiple job offers, and one of them was from the Microsoft as well. So I know that how hard for the woman to start her own startup, and it's quite difficult for me. So when I started, I adapt and learned the technologies and things by my own self. So it's quite harder for me, and this is the topic that very close to my heart and my life. So I just came here. I'm not actively participating into the events, but this topic just forced me to come here.
Wow.
And just because I learned and I did a lot of the struggles in my life. So I just set up a one R&D team inside a CloudTrains, where we are curating the courses and the training programs in the collaborations with the mentors and the startups leaders, where we can train the women on the technologies like artificial intelligence, cloud computing, blockchain, and data science as well, and help them to start their entrepreneurship career, or maybe they start their career or restart their career after the career break for any leadership position.
All right. That's wonderful. Actually, I'll come back to you as well in the second round of questioning, I think, where I'll ask each and every one of you maybe anecdotes from your personal journey as well. I'm sure this is going to be very interesting. Thank you so much. And I feel this topic is also very important to be covered in an event where giants like Google Cloud, Niveus, and IBM are participating. I think this needs to be put across very strongly. Now's the time. Thank you so much. Dipali, can I ask you to go next and help us understand any kind of changes you've experienced in consumer behavior within a sustainable brand that you run? Just divide the demographic for us.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I think I have to say that I am meeting all of you at a very interesting juncture of my life, where I have spent equal number of years being a banker, which is about a decade, and equal number of years now as an entrepreneur. So I'm equal parts both. Yeah, I just realized it this morning. So I'm a founder of a brand called Super Smelly. We make toxin-free personal care products for Gen Z. And therefore, I believe the question on sustainability, it's a sustainable brand. While there are a lot of research reports that we are privy to from the other part of the world, the developed world, I will talk to you about sustainability and the trends, therefore, out of my own experience. There are two key trends. The first one is that while there is a lot of awareness as compared to, let's say, a decade ago on sustainability, on being eco-friendly, on environmental consciousness, but when it comes to India, we are a very price-sensitive market. Yes, all our purchases largely in most households are led by women, but if we were to make a choice of spending something extra on a product which is more sustainable, vis-a-vis something else which is solving my purpose the same way, that woman will not spend extra for sustainability. Okay? I think we see it across our homes all the time in every decision that we make. So we're not really ready. However, if sustainability comes to us at the same cost, at the same price point as a non-sustainable product comes to us, and we are okay to spend on that because now increasingly we are more aware of it. And the second trend is more interesting. There is a generation divide. So we make products for Gen Z, and Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and the generations younger than them value sustainability, responsibility towards the planet, our environment, a lot more than generations above them did. So my generation, so as millennials and generations above, we are cognizant to the fact that, we in the past have made wrong choices, but it is not our sole criteria for making any brand choices. But for the younger generation, it is extremely important that the choices that they are making are sustainable. Yeah, if that answers your question.
Yes, it does, it does. I think we'll delve a little more deeper into how you help women make that mindset shift, or is it something that comes in through a Gen Z approach as well? Because I think your generation, our generation, you know, we weren't that bombarded with social media, and we weren't that woke, so to speak, which they are now. So does that make it easier
We also
for you?
did not have that kind of money.
Yeah, at this point in time, yes.
These guys, they are born with the privilege of having a certain standard of living. Our generation was really trying to make the cut. And I'm talking about the entire middle and lower middle class and maybe a little mass affluent people amongst us as well. Therefore, we first had to be very competitive. We had to get the best grades. And for us, all the consumption, these designer bags, these big fashionable cars, everything was validation that we are getting there. For them, it's not that.
Yeah, fair enough. And also the fact that with entrepreneurship being so central, such a central focus of the government of India as well, and it experiencing the boom that it is experiencing in India right now, we're the third largest startup ecosystem. I think the kind of employments that have been generated, that also has put Gen Z in a much smarter and a much more powerful position with the kind of money they earn. Do you remember your first internship? I think you probably would have done it for free. I did it for free with Times of
Taniya,
India.
this is an altogether a different conversation which I can have with you for hours.
maybe after on the offline session. But thank you so much, Dipali, for your thoughts. Ms. Shruti, very interesting field that you're working in, largely male-dominated, more so in your line of work. So with your work at Invincible Robo Leagues, how are you advocating for a higher participation of women in the STEM fields?
Thank you for having me here first. Is this okay? Yeah. Thank you for having me here. But you know, this is a very interesting question. And before I answer that question, can I read out a few statistics to you?
Absolutely.
And this is going to be absolutely amazing, right? So, out of all 100% of the women, 78% actually study science until 10th grade. Out of that 78%, only 47% study sciences until 12th grade. Out of that 47%, only 43% go off and do bachelors. Out of that
How many do graduate?
Out of that 43%, only 42% do masters. And, you know, the STEM is a huge subject when we talk about engineering, mathematics. And if I take statistics for mathematics and engineering, the percentage drops a lot more because it's only 30% of the 43% who've done bachelors that do engineering, 25% of 42% who do masters, and 20% of 44% who do research. And 40% of women who have educated themselves in STEM do not work in STEM industry, and they move out to different industries. So coming back to answering your question, STEM, yes, it's a fairly male-dominated industry, and it's also a question of interest and inclusivity that we feel is not quite there. I know we are all talking about it, and not many people might agree, but this is a fact. And I can tell you examples when we go around with the journey next. So what I do is I mentor a lot of women in this industry. We bring them to a lot of role models that are out there, and some of the interesting facts that a lot of people don't know. The right-hand woman of Principal Scientific Advisor is a woman. He has a team of 7 women leading the regional channels. And I mean, it's amazing. A lot of the work that has happened in ISRO during COVID, a lot of women were behind those research. So I think there are a lot of women, and we just need to bring them out and start talking about them more and more as role models. So we can encourage the next generation to adopt this industry.
I agree. I think lack of role models is a big problem as well, because be it social conditioning or the kind of content you consume on television, there is a certain way a woman is supposed to be. There is a certain limitations placed on how crazy she can fly. But now I think a lot of women entrepreneurs, ones who've made the bigger cut and the ones who are doing really well, like people on this panel, I think we've set a right example. A lot of girls, I'm certain a lot of girls in your company are looking at you and every decision that you're making and definitely empowering themselves to do better.
Now, let me come down to introducing myself a little bit more. So I'm also robotics and AI chairperson for Indian Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, yes.
I'm building a multi-purpose humanoid in India, which you can compete to OpenAI, Figure, and others. So yes, I am deep tech, and that's what my company is doing.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think one of the very few, the funnel becomes very less when it comes to a point where you are. Very interesting, the conversations that we've had so far in terms of how your line of work aligns with empowering women. Have you, now this is an open question to every one of you, each and every one of you will take it in the same order. Have you ever in your journey come to a point where you've realized, because when you would have started, I know how it would have been, the kind of biases would have come across, and I don't think we can openly even talk about them. But did there ever come a point where you realized, ki, okay, this is going to be my leadership style and I'm going to do maybe this very little micro change in my company as an entrepreneur, wherein I empower women to do better, where I empower women to be in more leadership positions? And maybe if you want to share the statistics of what is the percentage of men and women in your companies. And one thing I want to put across here to everyone, and I know the women here already know it, when we talk about diversity at workplace, it is not just women. Okay, it is the entire gamut of the LGBTQIA, the veterans, the women coming back to work. That's what we call diversity. Having even 50% or 90% women in your team does not mean you're a diverse company. How many of you agree with me on that? Amrita, we'll start with you.
Yeah, see, I think I agree. And however, having said that, like if I was hiring or if I am looking at a possible role for someone, I wouldn't just do it for the sake of diversity, right? I think it's only fair for the business and for everyone that the person, is capable or right for the job. The only gap I would say here is that when a woman is 80% ready, she still waits to be 100% ready to raise her hand for that job, while a guy who's maybe even 60% ready is already raising his hand to say, I'll do the job. So I think that is the gap that I definitely see, and maybe the only thing we as leaders can do is push such women to say that take more initiative. But will I give a role to someone just for the sake of diversity? No.
Jharna.
All right. So about our startup, although like for the kind of journey we had so far, like looking at the ratio, maintaining the ratio, these are some of the things, we haven't, got into that side of thing. But one program that we started was hiring for internships, as in that is the very early phase of career where, for a girl when she pass out from the masters or graduation, looking for first industry experience, that is the point where, I believe it is very much required to have a level playing field where they get a very safe and that kind of environment where they can explore their potential. So this thing that we had experimented last year, we had a batch of 15 interns, all women, from all women college, and there we made sure, like on our part, with whatever was feasible at that moment. So we made sure that we interacted with those interns, and we made sure that their first experience of industry becomes valuable to them.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And so this is exactly, what I want all of you to also talk about. That point in your leadership journey where you did something that actually made a difference. Thank you so much, Jharna. Over to you.
So, well, as I told you earlier, that we have a separate R&D department in our company and our startup where we can promote the women to adopt the technologies more. Apart from that, when diversify, it's not completely into my organization. So when we hire someone, we just check that the particular person is fit for that particular job role or not. But yes, if I find that this is a particular lady or a woman who have some sort of the capabilities, but yes, she is facing some struggle, so I'm always trying to provide her some sort of the flexibility.
Yes, exactly.
So she can do or restart their career or maybe do something better into the career. Because in my terminology or in my thinking, financial independence is very quite important for a woman.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of, especially women coming in from tier 2, tier 3 cities need to understand this, even no matter who your father is or your husband is.
I'm from tier 3 city, that's why I understand.
Absolutely, wonderful. Dipali, over to you.
Before I answer this question on leadership and gender diversity, I'm looking at the room and I want to thank this audience, which is largely 80% of very patient men listening to this conversation. Thank you so much. Very early on, as a very young employee, I was under the misconception that leading like a man is the most successful leadership style. I believe I had this conviction because I saw examples of people getting leadership roles, promotions, basis their masculine traits of leadership, which if I was to maybe try and define them, would be, let's say, being very assertive, sometimes borderline aggressive, arrogant, and over-competitive. So when I started my own enterprise, the first venture, I assumed that's the kind of a leader that is going to be successful. So I started leading like a man. Very soon I realized that this wasn't really coming naturally to me. Yeah? And
Just wanted to fit in, maybe.
Sorry?
You just wanted to fit in, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I'm
at that
still
point in
figuring
time, you
out.
were just doing
Yes.
your job.
Yeah.
I mean.
But as I slowly started moving towards playing to my strengths, I realized I think our key strength is high EQ and empathy. And when you use that, you lead to collaborative work, better teamwork, and loyalty. And today, I run 2 enterprises. The first one is a retail setup. It's about 10 years old, like I mentioned at the very start. 80% of my employees there have been with us from day one. And this is a beauty-related salon business where attrition is the biggest challenge of this industry. And yet, because of collaborative efforts, because of maybe empathy, because of understanding each other a lot better, I think I owe all of that loyalty to just the leadership style there. Yeah? Yeah.
Wonderful, Dipali. Ms. Shruti, over to you.
In my case, I would say, coming or working in a very male-dominated area, the easiest way to be is be yourself, be authentic, be genuine, be very clear what you're trying to achieve. Your goals leave no chance for ambiguity or guesswork. So the goals need to be clear, why we are doing, what we are doing, how we are doing, what is our strategy. When everybody is on the same page, it's much easier to take the team with you. So I think there is no specific style, but just be yourself and take the team with you because you're leading them. No one likes to be bullied. Nobody likes to be told off. So it's easiest to just take everybody with them and make sure they've got their own accountability and responsibility that they take off the work that they're going to do. And that is extremely important.
Absolutely, and I think more such conversations as well. There's this really interesting statistic that just struck me. It was the State of Entrepreneurship report by Kalari Capital last year that says the reason why men have more access to capital or why male-led startups have more funding is A, because of their peer groups. Not a lot of women you will see in the IITs where the incubations happen. And secondly, okay, this is not me. Literally, you can Google this report. That says that women founders tend to be more realistic with their numbers and projections, while as men will give you a 100x projection. So I think the EQ bits that you said, and also the more practical aspect, the softer aspects, are something that we bring to the table.
Yeah.
I think that's something that should define our leadership style as well, and that's something we should not change.
And
Very
I mean,
quickly,
my experience is women are frugal managers.
yes.
I'm not going to be, I'm not offended. We are frugal managers. We don't want to spend. Where do you not need to spend? And I think we take the team with us to say, let's not waste
Take the
money.
team with us, absolutely.
Take the
Absolutely.
team with us and say, let's not waste money and, let's do the right thing with the cheapest thing that we can do. And that, I think, stands with startups the most.
And also, I think, Shruti, that is something about your profile as well, because I look at marketing activities in my company and I spend so much. I always hear a lot of it from my team that, you need to cut down on the marketing aspects, the collateral needs to do that. But I think वो job role के ऊपर भी depend
Job
करता
role
है.
के ऊपर भी होता है, but when I'm talking about engineering style, it's frugal engineering.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know
fair
what I
enough.
mean? And I'm sorry to use that word because I've seen a lot of startups fail because they've got the funding, they've hired huge teams, half the guys don't know what they're doing, they're coming, they're having tea, coffee, spending a good time in the office and going back. And at the end of the day, the result has not been delivered for the funding that was raised.
Right.
And therefore, they go back for gap funding, etc., etc. Whereas the women founders have a certain budget in mind and they make sure they probably spend less than that because they feel responsible.
The very
for
homely
funding them.
instinct that we kind of have
Absolutely.
as women. So, which is why the diversity aspect is important. You need to have that equality so that everybody brings in something to the table. Time's up, so just one quick question to each and every one of you. Just think about it very clearly because a lot of this information is going to be disseminated to a huge set of people. So, just one liner, if you can tell me, one advice you would give to young women entering workforce, or women who've had 2 to 3 years within the workforce, one advice to them, and or maybe even young women entrepreneurs as well. So we'll start with you.
You said
Something that you wish somebody would have told you when you started.
Okay, I would say don't limit yourself to what others think you can or cannot do, right? I think if you look at the statistics or any data, right, whether I look at INDmoney as an app, if you look at the mutual fund investors or the demat account holders or any other data points, the women numbers will look skewed, right? But don't let any of these statistics or numbers restrict you from what you are capable of. I think the key is to understand your potential and act, right? A lot of times the limitation with women is we are hesitant. We don't think that we can do something or take up something or try something. So take that risk is my advice.
Lovely.
All right. Something that I wish someone would have told me is that in the journey, every day could be different. You could have highs and lows, and it might not always be the external factor, but some internal factor, because there is a lot of dialogues that goes inside our head. So treat every day as one day at a time and move ahead, because like keeping your goal very clear and not being affected by these things would help to grow better in the journey.
Absolutely.
So when I started my own journey, I just find out the right mentor for yourself first. At least find 3 or 4 mentors for yourself who have a specialization into the multiple fields, who will guide you with the right things and with the right set of the industry's knowledge as well. Be confident. First step is always a harder. So go beyond that. Move with a courage. Sky is your limit.
Absolutely. Dipali.
So I'm glad we're segueing into a conversation where, or maybe summarizing it with a question where, we can share with you what we wish another leader would have told me. And I'm going to speak to you from my real experience. As a banker, those 10 years were extremely successful, financially, position-wise, everything that you want from a job, it was so fulfilling. That gave me the courage, I believe, to start my first venture. The first venture was successful within the first few years, and therefore that gave me the courage to start my second venture, and it was like a dream run. Now, all of us kind of love to read stories, and we only gravitate towards stories where we come from a difficult situation, challenges, tier 2 city. Like for instance, in my case, from my ancestral existence in my family, nobody had ever set up a business of their own, forget a woman. So I was the first one. And in a scenario like that, everybody assumes that you're going to be that woman who's going to be this self-made next Kiran Majumdar-Shaw or Falguni Nair. But what, as women, we do not want ourselves to have is the luxury of failing. The last 3 years, both my businesses started to shrink. And because we keep telling ourselves we are women, we are taking this courageous step, we cannot quit, it's almost like treating grief. There are stages. The first stage was denial. The second stage typically is a very dark tunnel, which is clouded by self-doubt, second-guessing your choices, disappointment, loneliness. And the struggle is both external and internal. There was a social gathering where somebody came up to me and told me, "आप तो 40 under 40 थे ना? आपको तो newspaper में हम बहुत देखते थे, आप तो TV पे ही बहुत आते थे. आजकल क्या हुआ? Business चल नहीं रहे क्या?" So you're processing that. And you're also processing your internal struggles. So here is something for all the emerging leaders and leaders of tomorrow. What I did, I'm an avid reader, so I started reading a lot. Books on spirituality, to self-help, to teenage romance, which my daughter gave me, to even artificial intelligence. I started learning to dance. I took a bachata lessons, and I mercilessly started focusing on my physical and mental health. So therefore, if it wasn't for my 3 female friends, my golden retriever Waffle, who fortunately came into my life during this time, and if it wasn't for all of this, I think this dark tunnel would have been much longer. And then one day I told myself, and it just occurred to me, that listen, this version 2.0 of Dipali is so much better. I'm humbled. I've understood that life is not just like this, and now I know the next opportunity that I pick up is going to be really an opportunity which I'm going to be so good at. It was just a thought. In the last 6 months, I have been meeting the most incredible people with the most amazing business ideas, and now I'm evaluating what am I going to do with this bandwidth that I have. So the 3 lessons that I want to share with everyone in the room is, the first one is that there is a seat at the table waiting for you that you haven't seen. Yes, we hear never quit, but it's okay to quit as long as you don't quit on yourself. And the third one is, be proud of all the silent battles that you win without talking about them with anyone, because one day, and I promise that day comes, when you feel wonderful about chasing the dreams and choosing the life that you had dreamt of. Because it's important to talk about this, because what you don't see, you cannot become. So you see this today, and we should know that not all the stories are going to be Gautam Nagar ka ladka becoming Shah Rukh Khan. There are 99% of so many other stories where there is merit in learning so much from. And that's what I really wanted to speak about today.
Absolutely,
Thanks.
Dipali. Lovely. Ms. Shruti.
I think my fellow panelists have said a lot. The way I would approach this, the learnings that I've had is, one, learn from your mistakes, right? And ultimately, experience is not experience because you've had a good run. It's a darker run that gives you the courage and the experience to do things better, do things the right way. The other thing I would say is network. Now, a lot of people wouldn't know this about me, but I'm an extremely introvert person. So network, speak to a lot of people, speak to the right kind of people, get a lot of, find the right mentors, get the right guidance, people who would understand what you're going through, give you the right advice, surround yourself with positive people, and I think that would be it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ms. Shruti. And just to, close this, I would just like to give one suggestion from my end as well of what I've learned in my 5-year journey as an entrepreneur. If you find yourself, and this is actually not only for women, it's for everybody, I feel. If you find yourself to be the smartest person in the room, then you definitely are in the wrong room. Because that person, if you're that person, you're not learning anything from anybody around there. So if you want to network, be in the right side of people, be in a room where everybody knows a little more than you, so that your learning never stops, the journey never stops. And on that note, first of all, I want to congratulate each and every one of you for doing wonderful work, and also setting the right example of women for younger ones that are coming in the industry right now. You are the CEOs that the society wanted you to marry. So thank you so much, and with that we come to an end for this panel. Thank you.
Thank you.